What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel today for another review. Now, today we're going to be reviewing something that released back in 2013 with their season 1, and then season 2 came out the immediate year in 2014. However, the remake of it recently came out here in 2020 on Amazon Prime Video, and this series is Utopia. Now, I've already reviewed this, and you can check out that review, but upon that review, a ton of you all demanded, I mean, you were like, you better check out the UK version of it. And sure, I was able to get a few parts of it on the net, and it's a little bit difficult to get the complete series here for some odd reason. I couldn't find it nowhere. Then I even tried to get the DVD, and then it was even going to take a while to get it because of the pandemic. Nonetheless, now it's available on Amazon Prime Video, both the first and the second season for you to view. Now, before I go any further, for anybody who, if you've only known about the American version that came out this year, 2020, you absolutely want to check out the British version. And the reason why you want to check it out is because while they both have like the same core premise, they are two different series, and I'm going to break it down here as to why they're two different series, kind of the pros and cons, and just things I like. But ultimately, before I go any further, again, the British version, I'm only going to predominantly talk about season 1 because season 2, I feel like isn't really comparable in this conversation. Where hopefully, if there's a season 2 for the American version, then we can revisit that. But we're just going to go season 1 for season 1 here because that's where mostly the similarities are at. But the first couple of things you want to talk about here is Dennis Kelly, who's the writer. Both done both the American and the UK version. So you can start with there. And Dennis made it very clear at Comic-Con at home that, like, if you're going to remake a show, why would you just do it the same way again? Which is just genius, obviously. You don't want the same show. Sure, you want to keep, the core and the heart of the show, but you got the opportunity to do something different. So with that being said, like, if this makes sense for you all, the UK version is here, the American version was here, and then the kind of just looked like that. I mean, and I'm gonna break it all down for you all, but if you've never seen anything about Utopia, let me just kind of give you the premise about generally what both of the UK and American versions are about. So it's about a group of nerds, and they're on the search for this legendary comet, Utopia. But this comet ain't just a comet, it actually predicts the future. So while they're on the hunt for this, it also puts them in the targets of an organization who doesn't want anybody to have this comet besides them. So it puts them in immediate danger because of it. Because it's not just predicting the future. Like, this comic, if you really decipher all the code and everything, the references in it, it is talking about something that can potentially change the world forever. I mean, we're talking science, we're talking medicine, we're talking about a potential pandemic, we're talking genocide, we're talking like stuff like that. So like it's crazy. But with that being said, I kind of want to start by talking with about the characters here. Now, the first person I got to talk about is my guy Wilson. After seeing the British version and American version, I will say that I'm very happy with the two of them. The continuity between them, they're very similar. So there was nothing lacking in the American version with the UK version. They're slightly tweaked a little different, but they're both very much on par with the same psychology of the character. So I was very, very happy with that. Now, the next group I will go on with is Becky and Ian. Becky and Ian, as we know in the American version, they got a thing going on, whatever you want to call it. But while in the American version got this thing on this teenage level, the British version, they're full-blown adults. And I also will say that in the UK version, that they actually stand on their 2 feet much better than they did in the American version. I mean, they absolutely need the crutch of Jessica Hyde numerous times, especially Becky. And, the storylines are a little bit different here. One's a little bit more, I'll say, more vivid than the other. The American version, I'd say, like, what's going on with Becky is a little bit more vivid than the UK version, but I actually have enjoyed the UK version better because I think they were just more dynamic characters. They actually served the role where, like, in the American version, they were just kind of there, if you ask me. I mean, they gave him the stereotypical nerd, like they gave him the stereotypical nerd vibe and everything. So, like, I get it, but, like, I'm kind of over that now. And going back seeing now the UK version is kind of like, yeah, they're much more dynamic there. The next character is the character that everybody in the comments in my review has been talking about, and that's Arby. Now, I am here to say, now that watching both, that Arby in the American version is still better to me. The reason why is because Arby in the American version has this really mystique feel to him. Very introverted-ish. I could almost just go as far as saying that he comes off as if he potentially may be on the spectrum just a little. But he's a stone cold killer, which by appearance and by his demeanor, that he's so unpredictable that you almost do not know what he's going to do. Now, when you take a look at the UK version, I think he's much more on par as to being very sadistic without a question and sinister, but he is a straight shooter. I think when he poses his presence on anything, you know what he's going to do. It's not even a question. Like, I feel like the American version was always like he wouldn't do that, and then he does. Like, they're both stone cold killers, but I feel like there was a little bit more mystique to the American version, where, like, the British version, he was like, he's killing everybody he sees. It's not even a question. Like, he was just, again, he was who he was, and it was super transparent. So I like the American version better because I like a killer that didn't look like a killer, that didn't come off like a killer, but was a stone cold killer. So yeah, I'm for sure. And also, speaking about a character I like better in the American version, is Jessica Hyde. Jessica Hyde is the most significant character of this series. I mean, after the discovery of where's Utopia is always where's Jessica Hyde. Jessica Hyde in the American version is she's more vivid, more of a character, more of a main predominant character. I'll say, like, more of an animal. Like, you can just tell, like, she was just unchained and just was going to do whatever it takes in order for her to complete her mission. And I also feel like there's a little bit of unpredictability with her, but also, again, I just feel like the character just radiated much better than the UK version, who was like, obviously me watching, I'm like, okay, now where's Jessica Hyde and who's going to be Jessica Hyde? And Jessica Hyde comes, it's like, okay, this is Jessica Hyde, but it was like, she also just gave me that feel that she was just a character in the back. She almost feels like what Becky was in the American version in the UK, because she was like, she's Jessica Hyde, and sure, a lot of the story wraps around her, but, like, I didn't never feel her, like, presence or her dominance on the screen, whereas in the American version, it was just like, this is Jessica Hyde, and everything is centered around Jessica Hyde. And I just feel like the performance in the American version was just much more radiant for what that character demanded. So that's that. Who else am I missing here? So the American version also has extra characters that the UK version doesn't have. So that's why when it comes down to the story here, now the UK version has 6 episodes, the American version has 8 episodes, and that's why I'm going season 1 for season 1, because they both kind of leave off and kind of tell, kind of move the arc into the same direction. But the American version, because there's more characters, there's more story to be told, so there's added story arcs within this series, unlike the UK version, which is just, it is what it is. So with that being said, that there's characters in the American version that I can't compare to the UK version. So I won't go down that road as far as with that. But then it does bring the idea of who is Mr. Rabbit. Well, that is something that I just can't even go down that road and speak about, because that's like huge in spoilers. But I will say that I think that both were very as unpredictable as one another. I feel like going into each one of them blind, I just didn't kind of see how it was all going to play out. So I'll say I'll just leave it at that to kind of be fair. So Dr. Michael. Now, Dr. Michael has two different last names within the UK and American version. And you have Rainn Wilson, who plays the American version, who's just, a phenomenal actor. So you weren't going to get anything to match that. But I will say with the Michaels, the Dr. Michaels, where we say, I feel like the UK version was a little bit more strategic, actually really revealing what all was going down. I feel like the American version had a lot of personality, but I feel like a lot of when it came down to the mission, a lot of it was like forced and dropped on his lap in order for him to kind of do what he had to do. And I feel like while there's definitely similarities between the two, that the UK version definitely was just more driven, which made it just a little bit more interesting for me, shall I say. But yeah, I'm trying to think any other comparisons with characters. I don't know. If I do, I'll come back to it. How could I forget about one of my favorite characters in Grant? Now, Javon Walton, the American version, I absolutely love him as an actor. Little kid has a lot of potential going forward. But I've got to tell you, after watching the UK version, I'm thoroughly upset because they could have did so much more with this character. Now, the American version, very soft spoken, but man, was the UK version the badass, and he really was what I would more have expected from this character through and through with the American version. So like the UK version definitely brought what I would assume Grant would have been to life for sure. So yes, I wasn't wrong at all with my thoughts and predictions on how Grant, the character, should really develop. And now going back looking at the American version, I'm just like, that is a little disappointing. And not to mention Alice, I feel like both of the characters, both American and the UK version, is there's a lot of continuity between the two of them. And how Grant countered, because obviously Grant's story really, because of Grant and Alice's stories, kind of go with each other. Alice, I feel like, despite the differences in the characters, both of them still worked. And I like Alice's character as well, too. So, yeah, cannot even believe I almost forgot about my guy Grant here. Now, the UK version, without a doubt, is much better visually, aesthetically pleasing than the American version. The colors were vivid, the scenic shots, just everything was just much more pleasing than the American version. That's not even for debate. Seriously, like and sure, because I just watched it, certain things are going to stick out more to me. But like I got a pretty good memory of when something's like very visually good, and there's not many shots within the American version that I can be like, yeah, I don't think so. It's just, again, UK version much better. Action pretty much on par, but when it came down to the tone, UK version much more violent. Not even a question. Violence obviously in the American version, but a lot of the characters are toned down, and so did the tone of the series as it got deeper and deeper within the season. So yeah, it's much more violent in the UK version, not even a question. The writing was good in both, obviously. It's very consistent. We're using the same writer here. But again, I will have to say the UK version, it told pretty much the same story as the American version in 6 episodes here, with them being about 45 minutes. And I think the American version was about an hour long, if I'm not mistaken, because the UK version was on TV, so you have to account for commercials. So I think they're definitely 45 minutes, and I think that the American version is just an hour. So it told a lot more story with a lot of different elements in the UK version. And then, like I said, the American version had added characters, so you had added story arcs and more story to tell. So I get it. That's fair. That's definitely fair to say, for it to be that way. But overall, I will say that I think that they're both very, very much worth watching. If you love either one of them, you definitely want to check out the other one. And it will do you justice, because I think that at the same time, while they're both Utopia, they both are telling very good stories of their own with the characters. I mean, with the actors and actresses involved, and there's parallels, but yet they're different in a sense. And again, The tone was different. There was new characters in the American version. They ended slightly different. You know, you got season 2 already available for the UK version. Hopefully we get a season 2 for the American version. Certain characters I felt was just better in, you know, their respective versions. Again, the tone and the style, all those different things you take into consideration when watching them. But they're both good series. Like, I'm very, very glad I checked it out. Thank you all for whoever recommended it. But now that I have watched it, now you can come back in the comments. We can get full-blown spoilers now, because now I can actually engage in the conversation, because now that I know what all is going on. Oh, I gotta really say this too. I love the score for both of them, but it was really cool that the American version did pay homage to the British version with similarities within the score. So that was really, really cool. But overall, the core of the stories are pretty much the same, but they just kind of go in their own direction. That's very, very fine with me. But everybody, please check them out and let me know in the comments what you think about them. If you like a particular one, I want to hear your argument and why. But if you like both of them, hey, that's where I'm at. I like both of them and I'm happy I seen them. But anyway, thank you so much for watching this review, folks, and I'll catch you all very soon.